Bears! This is Bear Blast, the official podcast of student life at Mott Community College. Whether you're new to campus or have been here for a while, this is your spot to catch up on what's happening, hear real stories from students and staff, and find new ways to get involved. From events and campus tips to student success stories and special guests, we're here to help you make the most of your time at MCC. Let's get started!
Welcome back to Bear Blast. My name is Alyshia, and I am the coordinator for student life and very much the host of this podcast. I'm very grateful to be the host. And so thank you guys for coming and listening today. We have a great topic. Our topic today is campus safety, what you need to know. So this is going to be a conversation with some of our students on campus and our public safety as about resources and different initiatives that we have on campus. So we're really excited to hear a little bit more about it, especially from the professional perspective, because a lot of us only know our own experiences. So we're going to get a little mix of both things today. So we're very excited. And as a result, we have some great special guests with us. And as I mentioned in the last one, as you can probably guess, those students are from the Student Presidential Advisory Council. So thank you guys for coming back and talking a little bit about this topic. We're really excited to share a little bit about your opinions and your experience with public safety on campus. So I'm going to have you guys go around before we introduce our special guest and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then our special guest can introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Peace Aja. I'm a student here. I'm a nursing student. I am going to be graduating by December 2025.
My name's Jacob Baker. I'm in the dental hygiene program here at Mott, and I'll be graduating next year.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm a baking and pastry arts student, and I'm graduating this spring.
All right. Nobody wants to share a joke? I tried to prompt them before we started our session, and maybe in hopes that somebody will share a joke. I don't actually even have one. Usually I do. They're pretty lame, and they're mostly dad jokes, but maybe next time. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. And then we have a special guest, and she's going to introduce herself and tell us the important role that she does on campus.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie Zecman, and I'm the Executive Director, Chief of Public Safety here at Mott Community College. I oversee the Department of Public Safety, Health Services, and the Lerda Police Academy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of what I'm sure is an incredibly busy schedule to come chat with us a little bit about public safety today. I mean, you guys did a great job getting the top resource.
Yeah, I go for the best.
That's right. You go for the best. Don't tell the people that work with her. All right. Well, we're going to jump right into it because I don't want to take too much of your time. And we want to discuss a little bit about this topic and the student experience about public safety on campus. And then maybe public safety can share a little bit more about resources and things that we have available to students. So my first question will be to you, Chief. What are the key safety resources and services provided to students on campus?
Well, first of all, we have a public alert system, and whenever you're a student here at the college, we highly encourage you to enter your cell phone number for texting and emergency messages. That's a huge resource, right? We all want to know if there's an emergency on campus, and we all want to know if it's going to be a virtual day, right? If we have severe weather. Yeah. So that is probably first and foremost. As far as resources go, you name it. If a student is in crisis, we have teams available. We have a care team. We have a behavioral intervention team. And I am a co-chair on that behavioral intervention team. So if somebody is in crisis, we can find resources for that student once we triage their concern. So that's a really big resource that the college offers, and it keeps us very busy. There's tons of resources for students in terms of financial assistance, mental health help, assistance with tuition, housing and security, food. It's a really good program.
Yeah, you guys sound like you cover a lot of ground. That's awesome.
They keep us busy, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I do like the idea too, and from my personal experience, having just being able to walk up to a public safety officer and having a conversation on the daily does make me feel pretty safe on campus, so I do enjoy that. And so my question for you as students, as she mentioned a couple of the resources that are available, which ones have you used any? or do you know of somebody who's used one? Or is there something that you regularly use? I know that a lot of people know, and we'll share this number again at the end, but the contact phone number for public safety. I know I've used them because I've definitely locked my keys in my car a few times on campus. So have you guys used anything?
I haven't used anything personally, but I have heard, and I don't know if this is true, that there's an app you can download for public safety. I don't know if that's an older thing or if it's, what's.
We do have an app. Yeah, it's Rave Panic,
Mm-hmm.
and you can download it to your phone, and then we'll get an alert if you do use the app.
Okay. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about that.
I would say I've used 2 services. Okay, she didn't talk about the automobile services. My car always have flat tires, and I always call public safety. And they're always like, "Oh, do you want us to come over there and put air in your tire?" Like, no, I can drive it over to your office, and they get it fixed.
Yeah.
Then the second one is the escort services. There was a time that I usually close late from classes, and I spoke to one of the public safety officials, and he said that, "Oh, I could escort you to a safe place. Then if it's okay by you, you can continue your journey home."
And that's
so
nice.
I think it's very, very efficient. They are doing a great job on campus.
Right. And that's going to get into another question that I have later, but that's definitely helping students to feel safe because it's an optional thing. It's obviously not required, but if you are here late and that's something that you're feeling a little uneasy about, maybe walking from class to your car or something like that, you can call public safety and they'd be happy to get you there, which is great.
Yes, anytime.
Yeah.
Give us a call and we'll give you an escort.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything that you've used before? No? All right. Well, at least we know now that some things have been used and it works really well in our area, especially from the student life perspective, because we know that a lot of students come in and they ask questions about public safety. And usually I will initially refer them to public safety so that they can ask direct questions. However, this is very informational and helpful for us. So my next question is a little bit heavier, but I do want to know, do you guys as students, do you feel safe on campus? Is there anything that you would like? This is your chance. Chief is here. You get to ask her any questions that you like. You feel pretty safe on campus?
Yeah, I will say I'm feeling safe because of like I said earlier, the escort services that they provide. I feel safe, but I was just like, maybe they should just add some lighting to the outside campus so that we can be able to walk on our own. And
more lights, yeah. I know it's consistently dark in Michigan during a good majority of the time of year, so I do like that the escort service is available for that. And I know that we've talked about that before in student life about some potential like campus repairs and things like that we could use. But I know you guys have the emergency poles, the yellow ones that are outside as well, in case there's an issue. You can use
the blue light bulbs?
Yes, yeah. So those ones are really neat too, because if you're outside and you're alone and you're unsure of how to get help, maybe you don't know public safety's phone number off the top of your head, you could always use those as well, which is great.
They're great assistance poles.
Yeah.
Our police department is very big on being service oriented. So our goal is not to make the most arrests and take people to jail and enforce speed and get the most tickets. Our goal as an institution is to provide exceptional service to helping our community. And it is the smaller things like doing escorts and unlocking cars and just talking and listening to people.
Yeah.
Some folks just need to talk, and our officers are really good at listening.
That's good. That's good.
And there are cameras available on campus.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Safe.
That does make you feel safe too, right? Like there are a bunch of cameras everywhere.
We have hundreds and hundreds of cameras.
Somebody's watching me.
That's right. They're watching. They're watching to keep you safe and watching if you do anything suspicious. No, I like that because I know that there are also, I forget my keys a lot. That's going to be a theme. But I've definitely done that for like having rooms opened, things like that, where we have campus clubs that need to get in after hours. And I unfortunately don't have the capacity to work 20 hours a day. So we often have public safety that's very helpful in coming to unlock rooms and things like that. So that's a little less on the do I feel safe side, but a great perk to having an available escort for things like that when it needs to be done. So I like that. So, Chief, what steps does the college take to ensure safety during like campus events or like large events on campus? Like, for example, I can't remember. I don't even remember when this was. Was it last year? Were you here during Centennial celebration?
I was just coming
Just
on board.
starting.
Yep.
I
It
thought
was
so.
a great time to come to Mott because there were so many celebrations and free T-shirts and cool parades. And
Right.
I was like, man, this place is really fun to work at.
Yeah, that's right. And it was good because it was right at the beginning of the school year. So we were all jumping in on trying to get stuff started. So that was really neat. So what do you guys do when there are large events on campus? How do you ensure the safety of the campus? Do you have protocol or anything that goes on?
Sure. A lot of times we look at what was done in the past. If there was a similar incident event planned the year before, and then we'll look at our staffing levels to make sure that we have enough people on staff in case there's a need, right? So just doing our research for what type of event it is and kind of knowing what that type of event, what kind of people might be coming to our campus.
Sure.
And then planning and staffing accordingly.
All right. So if there's an incident reported on campus, say by a student, for example, maybe the student isn't directly involved in that incident, but they saw it happen, or that it's a friend of theirs or something. What would be the first steps for a student to get help from public safety when it's necessary, or maybe what signs should they look for when they should report to you?
Well, they can call us anytime. We're a 24/7 department. We have over 20 sworn police officers with arrest authority. So we have the ability to enforce the law. And if somebody needs help, we're available 24/7. We have a detective on staff. We have a lot of experienced police officers working for us. And we can handle just about anything that comes our way. So I highly encourage anybody to call us if they have some questions and if they need a report, or if they're not sure if they want an official report, they can always just call us and to talk.
That's awesome.
And we can point them in the right direction if there's another agency that should be following up on it.
Sure.
If the incident happened, off campus or in another jurisdiction, we have a lot of contacts.
That's awesome. I think that that's really important to consider those, especially if you're listening and you're not regularly a part of the student life experience, where we do promote the use of the public safety benefits that we have on campus. But if you haven't heard about them before, and this is the first time that you feel like you're aware of what public safety does, we also encourage that in student life to make sure that you can come to us and you can ask us any questions you want. That doesn't mean we can answer them. So we're here for you. We can also direct you to the appropriate person. We can make sure that you're getting the right information. But ultimately we will bring you to public safety when it's necessary so that you can get the full experience and you can know who's available.
Right. We never want to turn anybody away and say we can't help. We're going to find something or point you in the right direction.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's really, really important to be able to do that and have that flexibility. And I know that you mentioned that you guys, and I know this, but I know that some students don't know this. You are a fully accredited police department, correct? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. We just went through another reaccreditation through MLEAC, the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission. And we're accredited, and I'm very proud of that. It was a lot of work. There's a lot of rigorous criteria that we have to meet to get accreditation, and it takes a great commitment on the part of my staff to reach that. So having the ability to say that we're accredited and that we are doing best practice and seeking continuous improvement to make our department better, I'm very proud.
That's good. You should be proud. That's awesome. I like hearing that. And for those that don't know this on a regular basis, that is not the case with most community colleges, actually. So we're very fortunate to have a fully accredited police department on campus, and we're very grateful for you and your team to be able to maintain that. I think that it's sometimes people take that for granted, and I know that you guys also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you take care of campus, but you also do opportunities, and you make sure the safety, or you ensure the safety of individuals just slightly outside of campus as well, right? Like you have a jurisdiction essentially.
We patrol the perimeter of our campus, and our primary goal is actually campus properties,
Right.
whether it's Lapeer, Southern Lakes, Northern Tier, Culinary Arts, Wagner Building, main
Right.
campus.
We got a lot of places.
We have a lot of places to protect. So that our primary concern is main campus, or being on our campus property. But we do assist outside agencies, and we do patrol the neighborhood around campus
right.
here. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome. I think it's important to remember that if you are a student on campus and you're not sure if you're, maybe your car broke down at the stoplight and you're like, well, I'm not on campus. I don't know if I can call public safety. Call them. They'll tell you whether they can or can't help you. But it's always good to check, right? Like, you don't want to just be stuck and stranded out there all by yourself, especially in the winter. And
We'll ensure you get help one way or another.
Yes. That's really important. So my next question for you guys is more of a broad question, so anybody can answer it. But what role do you think that students play in maintaining safe campus environments? So, like, if you are a student currently, what do you think that the student from your perspective does? And then maybe, Chief, if you can make or give some suggestions on how they can help with that, what do you guys think?
I think that as a student, just kind of not only holding yourself accountable, but also others. If you see something that's concerning and it wouldn't make you feel safe, if you see something, say something, essentially. Right. Just kind of being open and kind of being vigilant for everyone, and kind of keeping your eyes open and just always being aware of what's happening around you, I think is always important.
Huge. Yeah. It takes a village.
It
definitely does. It can't just be the police officers all the time. We rely on people to contact us when they see something that is suspicious or unordinary. An
eyes and ears kind of situation, right? Exactly. I mean, as we mentioned, you got a lot of cameras out there, but they can only do so much. It's technology, which we talked about in a previous episode. And like, technology it's not the human experience. So it's important to get that perspective, especially if there's an incident or something like that. And when we're talking about incidents too, like, for those that are listening, like, remember that it's not necessarily just something physical that's happened or anything. Like, if there's a verbal altercation, or somebody said some things that they probably shouldn't say, or if it's against the student code of conduct, stuff like that, I would recommend that you familiarize yourself with the student code of conduct. I know a lot of people just sign on the dotted line on that, but definitely look that over and make sure that there's context about harassment and stalking and things like that are in there. So, and obviously the first department you're going to go to if you witness something like that, or maybe you might be a part of it, is going to be public safety. So you want to go directly to them, especially when there's conflict, and they can help with the resolution of that for sure. Anybody have anything else they'd like to add to that?
I think I'm just going to encourage students to participate in the fire drill on campus, and also participate in is it safety drill you guys call the other one?
We're going to have an all-campus lockdown drill coming
up. Yeah, the lockdown drill.
That's right.
Yeah, March 19th.
That's right.
So that you're going to familiarize yourself with how to keep yourself safe when you find yourself in such situations.
Right. And I do think it's really important when you talk about drills and things like that, like knowing the expectation of that, because we have a lot of different types of drills, tornado drills, things like that. But when it comes to campus safety, there are specific regulations that come with that, and like warnings and things like that. Like you mentioned, keeping track of your phone if you've opted into getting those alerts, paying attention, because oftentimes it will say they'll have the all clear, or they'll have the notice that something is happening on campus. Those are very, very important to keep track of. But I'm glad that you asked that, or that you mentioned that, because that was going to be my next question. A little bit about, can you tell us a little bit about the practice of some of these safety options? What do you guys do? How do you prepare for those? And what is your ultimate goal? Obviously, your goal is to keep everyone safe, right?
Right.
But do you have any other initiatives, like as far as your training goes, from your perspective?
Well, that's a pretty broad question.
I like to keep them broad.
So the lockdown drill that's coming up, we're going to test a bunch of our capabilities, and we want to make sure our equipment's working, that the police response is what it should be, that our dispatchers are pressing the right buttons to put the proper announcements out over the air. So there's a lot of things going behind the scene. We have a lot of objectives that we're going to try to meet by doing these drills. Takes a lot of planning, and then a lot of evaluation, and then going back and addressing all the things that need to improve.
Right.
So I'm very fortunate, since I've worked here, that's been a priority from the highest level at the college, that we will do these all campus active assailant lockdown drills. And not every college or university does that as regularly as Mott does. So that's huge to have that support.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that it's really important given the state of the incidences that have happened at colleges, even in Michigan. I know some people know about some of those. Our priority obviously is safety first, and we want to make sure that our students are well equipped for that. And I think the reason why I asked that question is because a lot of our student population, I know this because I was a student at one point, think of active assailant drills and lockdowns as, well, they're doing this to test me as a student and to see if I'm ready. Well, yes, but that's not the whole thing. That's, like you mentioned, things are going on behind the scenes, and the stuff that we don't know about is from your perspective.
And we'll also evaluate whether it appears that our community knows what to do, and that we're providing the right education, the right training, the right videos on our website. It's a total package.
Yeah,
really.
All the way around. I definitely, that was something I had to learn in college, was that I just assumed that it was about having me be prepared. And I didn't think about the things that, like you said, testing equipment and making sure alarms work and doing all these other things behind the scenes that we don't think about. So if you are listening, and you will be here during our next active assailant drill, please cooperate and listen to our public safety officers. This is something that they run through training for on purpose, and they're wanting to make sure it's the best program that we have. So do your best to comply and make sure that you're following all the rules, and brush up a little bit before you come into school. And when they say get behind a closed door, do it, So I think that was one of my questions, just because I wanted to know a little bit more about the perspective on your end on how important that something like that is. So thank you for sharing that. I definitely know from your guys' perspective as students, like, you've gone through drills and things like this when you were in grade school all the way up to now. So, like, how do you feel about that? Do you feel more prepared when it comes to having drills? Do you find them tedious? Like, what is your perspective? What do you think?
Well, for the active assailant drill, when I knew that we were supposed to do the drill, I had to just stay back, because some people told me, oh, it was scary. I saw somebody shooting. Like, it was like a real life experience. But this year, I think I'm going to attend to see for myself.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea. I think it's important. You can get that. You can decide on your experience yourself instead of somebody else doing that for you.
Yeah. Although I was scared, but
you're going to do great. It's going to be great. How about you guys? Any experiences? Anything like that?
Just kind of going through elementary school, middle school, high school, it seemed that the number of drills we were doing just kept increasing.
Yeah.
And I know, being younger or a little bit more immature, to a point, you kind of lose interest.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't always remember the importance of doing that. So I think it's important to not skip class that day, or, not take it seriously, because it is for practice. And, whether you're on the student side or the staff side, those days can happen or could happen. And we all want to be prepared and informed instead of being lost on that day.
I will say, after being in this career for 26 plus years, I've noticed a significant improvement in students coming from K through 12 when they get to us.
Yeah.
A lot of them have been training for this their entire life.
Their lives, yeah.
And back in the old days, it wasn't like that.
Right.
So we're at a point now where a lot of students do have the training from K through 12. They came from high school that had an SRO in the building, and like you said, you've done so many drills, right? So for us at the college level, that we're very fortunate when that happens. But then we have international students who come over and have never through anything like what we're doing in the United States.
Yeah.
It's kind of different.
So we still, as a department, provide training, ALICE training, run, hide, fight training, lockdown training for students and faculty and staff, because there are people who have not been through it.
Right. Yeah, and that's a great point, because I know I've talked about this on this podcast before, but I am not in your age group. So I definitely, when I was in grade school, we had tornado drills, and that was it. Like we didn't have active assailant drills, and that ages me a bit. But it does tell you that my generation had to learn either in college or post college, just because we heard about it on TV. We've seen it. We were all alive, but very young for the very first school incident that happened. And so what we are trying to do is prepare ourselves. But we're not nearly as well versed in the practice as some of the newer generations that are coming up. So I like that, because I think it's important, not only for public safety, but also from the student perspective. It comes more naturally now because it's automatically like written into your brain at this point on what to do in those scenarios, which I'm sure saves lives. I don't know the statistics of that, but I do think that that's very important, especially probably from public safety's perspective on just already being prepared and having that as a second nature response. So, and I've learned things from students that have come in here before and that have said, well, we did it, our drills like this at my school, or we did our drills like this at my school. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know anything about that. And so I like finding that and that news perspective and seeing that you can learn from other people when it comes to that. Now, drills are not everybody's favorite thing, obviously, but we know that it's important to be prepared and stay vigilant. So as Julia mentioned, be here, be a part of the experience. Yes, you might think that it takes time out of your day and, I have to go back there again and I got to sit in a small room with a bunch of people, but it's important to your experience, whether you've done it 100 times or one time, right? And it helps to keep it fresh just in case. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do have just a couple more questions. I want to know a little bit about you guys, and we're going to have to ask this question twofold. So we're going to ask it from the student perspective and then from the staff perspective. So as a student, you're welcome to ask this question in any way that you'd like. But essentially, I want to know if you have any questions for Chief or any things that you would suggest we could change about safety on campus. Maybe you've experienced it yourself or you've heard it at another school or something like that. Is there anything in your brain that you can think of that you might want to give as a suggestion? And maybe if it is a suggestion and Chief already has a solution for that you don't know of, she can share what that solution is. Anybody have anything?
Well, from U of M Flint, I see that they have safe rides and their public safety students do that. So I don't know if Mott can incorporate that here.
We're not asking you to commit to anything right now. Just just want to put that out there. These are just suggestions.
Yep. I've heard positive things about the safe rides that they offer there. And I think part of that comes from them having a residential population too, because we don't have dorms here at Mott Community College. But
that's why we need it.
Yeah.
Because, when I started here at Mott, I wasn't driving as an international student. It was kind of difficult walking around. And I was fortunate to use a little bit of safe ride from U of M Flint, but they weren't coming towards this axis. So. Yeah.
No, that's good to know. I didn't know they had safe ride. That's interesting. But yeah, I do think that that's more or less something that colleges typically do when they have on-campus housing or residents that live on campus, but interesting. What about you guys? Any suggestions?
Yeah, I had a question. Is there anything you would specifically recommend for students to do to be more safe on campus, like walking groups or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Whenever possible, we recommend that people do the buddy system.
Right.
And park in well-lit areas. Always have your cell phone fully charged because you never know when you're going to need to use it and to make a phone call. Just let me think. There's so many safe things. Trim your bushes around your house.
Right. Yeah.
Close your blinds.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice even for off campus and making sure that you have the options to understand how safety works.
And one thing, internet, social media, just I know a lot of people want to share so much about themselves online, but just understand sharing too much can be too much sometimes.
Yeah.
So try to be diligent and to keep yourself safe. Don't put too much out there. If you're going on vacation, maybe post your pictures after you come back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made that mistake recently. It wasn't with social media, but I was leaving on vacation and my partner was with me and it was right as soon, I think it was over Christmas break, and we had just had our like first snowfall. And so a local guy pulled up into our driveway and said, hey, I was wondering if you would like us to plow your driveway. And that happens a lot. So that's not concerning at all. But I knee-jerk reaction just said, no, actually, we don't really need that because we know it will melt and we're leaving on vacation. And I was like, oh. And my partner was like, why did you say that? And I was like, I didn't think about it in the moment, right? Mm-hmm. And I had seen this guy in the neighborhood 100 times. Like, I know of him. We're not acquaintances necessarily, but I know that he exists. And so I felt safe enough to say that, even though I shouldn't have felt safe enough to say that. So like you mentioned, be vigilant and making sure that you don't give information that's not necessary. Don't tell people that you're leaving your home, or don't tell them that you're going to be spending the afternoon sitting in your car in the parking lot when there's no school. Like, because you could be a target. Not that you're going to be, but you could be. And you definitely don't want to subject yourself to some sort of potential harm if you can help it. And I definitely did that. And so thankfully I remedied that situation and called the nephew of a friend and said, can you watch my house for me while we're gone? And I had to pay. See, that's what happens when you make mistakes. You have to pay for them. And I paid him, and he watched our house, and there was no problem, obviously. And I'm not saying that this man would have done anything anyway. And he seems very polite and very nice, but that's the thing. They can seem like that, and then sometimes things can be different than what you can see. So be careful with the information that you give out. I think that's great advice.
Exactly. And this might sound very, very basic, but having worked at Saginaw Valley State University for so many years with residential housing, I had said it over and over and over again, lock your doors.
Yeah.
Lock your doors.
Lock your doors.
Because bad things happen when you don't lock your doors. Even when you think that you're completely safe, somebody's going to come in while you're sleeping.
Right.
They're going to flop on your couch. They're going to take your TV. Or worse, right?
Yeah.
So lock your doors.
And be careful, like we mentioned, like you have to understand that there are peak times too. So be very aware of that. Like a few years ago, when I was in college, I used to live with some roommates from U of M Flint, and we had a house together. And so it was off campus. It was away, their public safety was not around enough in the area to be able to see any of what was going on in some of these houses that these students were living in, because they were privately owned. So they had nothing to do with the college. So as a result, we were not necessarily as careful as we probably should have been, thinking, oh, well, we're a bunch of college students. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. And we all left over Thanksgiving to go to our families' homes, and we returned and our house was broken into and all of our stuff was taken. So, and I mean a lot of stuff, like TVs, guitars, all that, it was all gone. So, and I was the first one to arrive home from Thanksgiving, and I let my dog off his leash when he gets out of the car, and he runs to the back door and runs right inside. And I was like, how did he get inside?
Oh, no.
And then I go to the back door and I look, and it's open, and, our stuff is everywhere. Well, what's left is everywhere. And so I think that being aware of the time periods in which those things can happen, when people are watching and they're saying, oh, well, you're going to be gone for the holidays, I'm going to take advantage of that. Like paying attention to the things that you might not necessarily think are important is definitely should be on your radar, at least a little bit anyway. But those are just some personal experiences I've gone through.
Well, thank you for your vulnerability.
Oh, well, of course.
Sharing these stories.
Of course. I really think, like, and I've mentioned this before, I'm a visual learner, or in this case, an audio learner. I like to hear personal experiences from people because I think it helps to bring the reality a little bit more closer to home for some of the individuals who are listening. When oh, well, this happened on the news and this did this, and, people in this state, this happened to them. And I'm like, yeah, but if it's a person that you directly know, or was right next to you and this happened to them in the same city that you live in or whatever, you tend to be paying more attention when it comes around. So thankfully, I don't have any more stories, just those two. But I do think that it's important to consider, like, listening to other people, hearing from their experiences, understanding that safety is important. And sometimes you think you're prepared, but you're not. So paying attention is really important. Well, that kind of actually answers the other question I was going to ask, which was, and maybe you have more to add, but it was the reverse of that. Is there anything that you have as far as advice for students on how they can help keep campus more safe, or maybe themselves personally more safe? What do you have?
Well, I can't take credit for this, but it was mentioned earlier. Something, say something. Yeah. And that is huge. We need eyes and ears out there observing and reporting suspicious behavior. And 9 times out of 10, somebody making a call when they see something suspicious, that's going to help us solve whatever was happening. There's no such thing as a stupid call to public safety.
Right.
Even if it feels like, I don't want them to judge me and think that this is stupid, we're not going to judge you. We get tons of calls every day, and it's our job. We are paid. It's our job to respond and to look into it. So I highly encourage you to call something in if it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up and you get that irky feeling like, something just seems a little bit off. What's going on over there? Call us.
Right. That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. And I know we're running out of time, but I do want to ask if there's any direct information. So like, is there a phone number people can call? What's the number? Do they email you? What types of ways can they get in contact with public safety?
The easiest way would be to call our dispatch. We have somebody answering the phone 24/7, and the phone number is 810-762-0222.
All right. That's perfect. And I think that's the most direct version. I mean, that's what I use when I lock my keys in my car. So, and for those that are listening, it's not necessarily like, you can call if you lock your keys in your car at the same number, right? Like this is a different scenario than calling 911 if you've locked your keys. Don't do that.
Right. Save our number in your phone.
Right.
I mean, put us in your contacts so that we're there when you need us. And if there's an emergency, call 911.
Right. That's very important. Well, thank you, Chief, for coming and sharing a little bit from your perspective and educating us on what it means to be a public safety officer. We really appreciate your time. And for the rest of you, also, thank you so much for doing your homework and offering your opinions from the student perspective. We really appreciate it. If you're listening and you have any comments or concerns for public safety and you'd like to express those, you're welcome to put them in the comments below and we will pass that information along. If not, and you want to talk more directly to someone, you're welcome to contact public safety directly, or you can come into Student Life and we can take you over there and have a little conversation. Again, Student Life is in the Curtis Mott Building, room 1129 is our common room, so you can drop by anytime. Otherwise, thank you again for your conversations, guys, and we look forward to the next one. Chief, if you ever want to come back and have a less formal conversation about public safety, maybe you have a hobby or something, we can talk about that too. But thank you again, and we look forward to the next time. And those that are listening, if you would like to comment, and subscribe, we'd love to have you continue to follow us to hear a little bit more about the student perspective from Bear Blast at Mott Community College. Otherwise, you have a great rest of your day, and we hope to hear you or see you next time on Bear Blast. Go Bears.
And that is it for this episode of Bear Blast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to follow us so you're always in the know about what's happening at Mott. And for even more Bear content, check us out on TikTok and Instagram. Just search for MCC Student Life. Until next time, go Bears!